The scrape of chairs being pulled up to the table all at once, the good dishes coming down from the high shelf, the smell of a Sunday roast that had been in the oven since church. If you grew up in America between the 50s and the 80s, your house had a whole room set aside for one thing: the family, sitting down to eat together, the dining room. And it's full of things that have vanished, not just the furniture, but a whole way of being a family. Today, you and I are going to walk through it together, one piece at a time. But stay with me right to the end, because the last thing I'll show you isn't a piece of furniture at all. It's the thing the entire room was built around, the thing we've lost most completely of all. And you'll know exactly what I mean the moment I say it. So settle in. Picture the dining room you grew up in, the real one, the good carpet, the light fixture hanging low, the chair that was Dad's. Ready? Let's walk in. We start at the center of it all, the table and its secret, the big dining table, solid wood, heavy, with a glossy finish you could see your face in, and a secret built right into the middle of it. Be honest, you remember the day the table grew. Because when the whole family came, the table pulled apart in the middle and someone went to the hall closet for the leaves, those extra panels of wood that lived flat in a closet all year and came out only for the holidays. You dropped them in, and the table doubled in size, and suddenly there was room for everyone. The seam never quite lined up, and there was always a little gap a pea could roll into. But the table growing was the first sign the holiday had truly begun, and a kid felt it. The family was about to be all together in one place around one table. And the rest of the year, that big table did quieter work. It was where the homework got spread out under the good light, where the jigsaw puzzle slowly came together over a week, everyone adding a piece as they passed, where Mom laid out the dress pattern and pinned it, or wrapped the Christmas presents behind a closed door, or sat alone late at night with the bills and the checkbook. The dining table was the largest clear surface in the house, and a family's whole life got done on it between the holidays. But it lived for the days the leaves went in, and every chair was full. Look at what covered it, and what came out only twice a year. The good tablecloth, the linen one, ironed crisp, that lived in a drawer in tissue paper and came out only when it mattered, with the matching cloth napkins nobody dared blow their nose in. And on it, the things that only appeared for company. The good dishes, yes, but here's the one you've forgotten. The candlesticks, the real ones, lit only on the special nights that turned an ordinary supper into an occasion. And the centerpiece your mother fussed over. For a holiday, the everyday table became something formal and beautiful, set with care the night before, and a kid understood without being told that this meant something important was about to happen here. Turn to the big piece against the wall, the one that held the family treasure, the china hutch, the break front, a tall, grand piece of furniture, glass doors on top and drawers below that held the things a family owned but almost never used. The wedding china, a full set for 12, used maybe 3 times a year. The crystal glasses that rang when you flicked them. The silver, the real silver, in its felt-lined wooden chest that had to be polished by hand before a holiday, a job that fell to the kids, rubbing each fork until it gleamed. This was the family's finest, its formal best, displayed proudly behind glass and brought out only to honor the most important days. And almost nobody under 40 owns a single piece of good anything anymore, because the whole idea of a formal best, saved for occasions, has quietly disappeared. And every piece in that hutch had a story. The china was a wedding gift, or your grandmother's, and there was a tale about the one cup that got broken and the careful gluing of the handle. The silver had initials engraved on it, of people you'd never met but were named after. There were pieces nobody could quite identify, a strange little fork, a serving thing of mysterious purpose, kept anyway because it was part of the set. Polishing that silver before Thanksgiving, sitting at the table with the pink paste and the rags and the smell of it, the fork slowly going from dull gray to bright, was a job and a tradition both. And when the meal was over, every piece was hand-washed with great care, dried and put back behind the glass to wait another year. We owned and treasured and passed down instead of buying cheap and replacing. The hutch was a monument to permanence, and we don't build those anymore. Look up at the light hanging low over the table. The chandelier, or the hanging fixture on a chain, pulled down low over the center of the table, often the Tiffany-style one in amber and green, or a brass one with little flame-shaped bulbs. It threw a warm pool of light right onto the table and left the rest of the room in soft shadow, so the family at dinner sat in a little circle of gold. There was a dimmer, sometimes, that Dad turned down for the fancy meals. And on that hanging fixture or the sideboard nearby, the candles caught the light, and the good glasses sparkled, and the whole room was designed to make the family at the table the warm, glowing center of the house. And the light set the whole mood of the meal. Bright and cheerful for an everyday supper, turned down low and warm with the candles lit, for the holidays and the company. So the faces around the table glowed and the corners went soft and the room felt like the inside of something precious. A kid sitting at that table, full and sleepy at the end of a long holiday meal, watching the candlelight flicker on the good crystal, and the faces of everyone they loved all gathered in one warm circle of light. That is one of the deepest, safest feelings a person can carry out of childhood. And it had a room of its own, built just to hold it. Against the other wall, the long, low cabinet that did the serving, the sideboard, the buffet, the long, low cabinet where the serving dishes waited and the feast was laid out. On Thanksgiving, this is where the overflow went. The dishes that wouldn't fit on the table, the pies waiting their turn, the big turkey resting before it was carved. The drawers held the special serving pieces, the gravy boat, the cranberry dish, the divided relish tray, the big platter that only ever held one thing, a holiday bird. These were single-purpose objects, used once or twice a year, kept for a lifetime, and handed down. A family accumulated a whole armory of specialized servingware, and the sideboard was its barracks. And the sideboard was where the feast got staged and the leftovers got dealt with. After the meal, it held the picked-over turkey and the foil-covered bowls before they went to the kitchen, and the parade of pies waiting for everyone to somehow find room. Its drawers held the cloth napkins and the good linens between holidays, and the top, the rest of the year, was where the family displayed itself. The framed photos, the wedding portrait, the kids' school pictures in a row, growing up gap-toothed and then grown across the years. It was furniture and altar and serving station all at once, and the modern open-plan kitchen with an island has no place for it and no idea what it was. Now, sit down at the table and notice where the kids went. The kids' table. Because when the whole family gathered, there was never enough room at the grown-up table, so off to the side, in the kitchen or the next room, stood the card table with the folding chairs. Be honest, there was a whole hierarchy to it. The little kids were exiled there, and you stayed there year after year until one magical holiday you were finally promoted to the adult table, which was a genuine rite of passage. The kids' table was wobbly and crowded, and you ate off the everyday plates, but it had its own freedom, no manners enforced quite so strictly, the cousins all together, the laughter a little louder. A whole generation has fond, specific memories of the kids' table, a piece of furniture that only existed a few days a year, and it was where the cousins became your friends. Once a year, or a few times, the whole extended family crammed into one house, and the kids' table was where you and the cousins you only saw on holidays picked right up where you'd left off. The inside jokes, the games under the table, the whispered plans to sneak more dessert, the dare to go ask the adults a ridiculous question. You could see the grown-up table from where you sat, the laughter and the talk you weren't part of yet, and you half wanted in, and half were glad to be free of it. And the year you finally got promoted to the big table, you felt the strange loss of it even in your triumph, because the kids' table was the last place you got to just be a kid before they expected you to sit up straight and join the grown-up world. Look at the table settings and the manners that went with them, the full place setting and the rules that came with it. The fork on the left, the napkin in your lap, the elbows off the table, the ask to be excused. Because dinner in the dining room was where a child was civilized. You learned which fork, how to pass to the right, to wait until everyone was served, to say please and thank you, to sit up straight, to not start until grace was said. It could be stiff, and a long, formal meal was agony for a squirming kid. But it was also the daily classroom where a family taught its children how to be people at a table, a curriculum that has largely closed its doors now that so few families sit down to a set table at all. Look at the empty chair at the head, and who sat there? Dad's chair at the head of the table, and the whole ritual of the meal that revolved around it. He sat at the head, and he carved. The bringing out of the turkey or the roast to the head of the table, the sharpening of the carving knife, the ceremonial first cut, that was his, a small piece of theater performed at every holiday. Grace was said before anyone lifted a fork, heads bowed, hands sometimes joined around the whole table. There was a shape to the meal, a set of small ceremonies, and the dining room was the stage built for them. And most of those quiet rituals have faded along with the room itself, and the meal moved in an order everyone knew. You waited until your mother finally sat down, because she was always last, still bringing things from the kitchen, and the meal couldn't really start until she was in her chair. The dishes went around the table hand to hand, past the potatoes, everyone serving themselves. Seconds were offered and pressed on you, and nobody left until they asked to be excused, so a kid finished fast and then squirmed, waiting for permission, while the adults lingered over coffee and the talk went on and on. There was a beginning, a middle, and an end to a family meal, and you sat through all of it together, start to finish. It wasn't grab a plate and go. It was an event with a shape, performed by the whole family every single night. Listen to the room, because of what wasn't in it. There was no television in the dining room, and there were certainly no phones. The dining room was, by design, the one room in the house with nothing to look at but each other. That was the entire point of it. You sat, and you ate, and you talked about your day, about the news, about nothing, the conversation winding around the table for an hour. The kids were expected to report on school. The adults argued happily about things. You were a captive audience to your own family, with no screen to escape into, and so you actually listened and told stories and learned who your people were. That undistracted hour, with nothing competing for anyone's attention, is the rarest thing in this whole room now. And out of that undistracted hour came the things that hold a family together. The same stories told so many times you could recite them and groaned at and secretly loved. The teasing. The debates about nothing that got heated and funny. The moment a kid finally worked up the nerve to bring up something hard, because the table was the one place everyone was guaranteed to be. The silences that were comfortable, the laughter that doubled you over, the news both good and bad that got shared here first. A family learned to be a family across that table, an hour a night, with no screen pulling anyone away, and we have never found anything to replace it, because there is nothing. You cannot become close to people you never sit still with. And now, the thing the whole room was built around. Stand back and look at the empty table for a second, because the thing we've truly lost isn't the hutch, or the silver, or the leaves in the closet. It's the nightly family dinner itself. Every night, not just holidays, the family stopped what it was doing, came to the table at the same time, and ate together. Mom cooked it from scratch most nights. Everyone came when called. You sat in your usual spot. There were no screens, no separate schedules, no eating in shifts in front of the TV. For 1 hour, every single evening, the whole family was in one place, facing each other, sharing a meal and a conversation. It was the heartbeat of the house. And here's what happened. The schedules scattered, the activities multiplied, the television, and then the screens pulled everyone into separate rooms with separate dinners on separate laps. The formal dining room became a place to pile mail, used a few times a year, and in a lot of new houses, they simply stopped building one at all. We didn't decide to give up the family dinner. It just slipped away, one busy night at a time, until the room built to hold it stood empty. Think about what happened around that table every night that can't happen any other way. The day got told, who got in trouble, who made the team, what the teacher said. The bad news got broken gently, and the good news got cheered. You learned your parents' opinions, their stories, the family history that came out one dinner at a time. You learned to sit with people, to wait your turn, to listen to someone boring, to be part of something. Studies now, decades later, find that the single best predictor of how a kid turns out isn't money or schools. It's whether the family ate dinner together. We knew that in our bones once, without a study, because we lived it every single night. And if you want to know what a whole generation misses most about growing up, more than any toy, any show, any candy, a great many of us would say it was this: the certainty that every single night At the same time, your whole family would be there, at the table, together. That's what the dining room was for, and that's what we lost. So that's our dining room. The candles are out, the good dishes are back behind glass, and the table is quiet. Now I want to hear about yours. Which one stopped you cold? The leaves that made the table grow? The kids' table you finally graduated from? The family dinner every single night? Tell me down in the comments. And tell me the one thing about your dining room that we didn't name, because I read every single one, and I'm building the next one from your memories. If this brought even a little of it back, subscribe and come sit with us again. Next time, we're opening the cupboard to find the American snacks we grew up on, the ones that vanished from the shelves forever. We'll leave the light on for you.